On this episode of ARS TV, Jeff Schwartz of Schwartz Performance shows us his latest project, Stacy David's SLC. Next, we stop by Zizzo Racing's new expanded shop and catch up with TJ Zizzo, NHRA top fuel driver. All this and more on this episode of ARS TV.
All right, so hey, today we're out here at Schwartz Performance, and about last Saturday, I believe, I was watching Stacy David's Gears show on Speed Channel, and lo and behold, our good friend Jeff Schwartz is there. I'm like, hey, we've been there. We know Stacy. He does some incredible things. He's, been on trucks. He's got his own show now down in Nashville. We've actually been to his Rattle Trap Productions, and called Jeff and said, hey, congratulations. We saw you on Stacy David Gears. Lo and behold, this was 6 months ago that he was on the show, and we just happened to catch a repeat on Speed Channel. Now we're out here, and Jeff said, I've got that car in my shop right now. I said, what? I got to see this car. So today we're here with Jeff Schwartz. Thanks for allowing us to come into your shop. We appreciate you being here. And what is this thing?
Well, this car is called a SLC. That stands for Super Light Coupe. It's made by a company in Michigan called Race Car Replicas. Okay. And Fran Hall owns the company, and he was on the GM race team, and he did work for GM and started his company building race car replicas, mainly GT40s, as well as a bunch of other cars from the 60s, road racing type cars. And he wanted to do a clean sheet design of a modern road racing car for the street. So the SLC is kind of the result of that. I have had a lot of experience with other types of mid-engine road race cars like the Ultima GTR that I own, right. The twin turbo that I did 211 in a standing mile with. So Stacy contacted me and wanted me to see what I could do with his car, setting up a twin turbo system for it.
Okay, so this is his car. He's going to be driving this car, and he possibly could be competing against you in some of these events.
There's a possibility of that, although he has offered to let me use the car if I wanted
well, there you go. Yeah.
Do some stuff. But yeah, this is Stacy's car. We're upgrading the engine internals and building a twin turbo system for it. Most of the twin turbo system has been done already, other than the intake piping and mounting the components to the car.
What kind of power are you getting out of these motors? I mean, they come from the factory, there's 500, 580, 600. What are you getting out of them as a naturally aspirated end?
The LS7 engine, just because the cylinder heads are so superior to anything on the market right now. Okay. Out of the box, they flow 370 CFM of air. So it's like, huge big block numbers of a few years ago. So okay. When you have a really good cylinder head, it's easier to make power. So our LS7 packages, we do a 675, that's our most popular package, very streetable, idles at 900 RPM, makes 675 horse on pump gas, and then we have a 730 horse also on pump gas, 93 octane, normally aspirated, and then that's not quite as street friendly. It needs to be 2,500 RPM or higher when you're idling, when you're okay. Cruising around. Okay. It still idles at, say, 1,100 RPM, 1,000 RPM, but it doesn't really have the torque under 2,500 where you can lug it down to 2,500 in fifth gear going down the street. So,
all right. And this car here, how long is it going to be in your shop? And when it leaves here, what configuration is it going to be in? Is it going to be race ready, or are you actually just doing a portion of it and then letting him continue doing what he does for his show?
Well, the episode that you saw of Stacy David's Gears was building of the turbo system for the car, mounting the turbos on the car. Okay. So that has been done already. The next step is actually making the intake piping. The LS7 engine has the intake manifold facing forward for like a front engine application such Correct. As the Corvette. So we have to flip the intake around. However, there's an oil pressure boss that's in the way, so we have to do some machining on the valley cover and then flip the intake around, get the throttle body where it's actually going to be, and then we have to fabricate the intake piping. But we're going to mount the turbos, we're going to mount the intercoolers, fabricate brackets and mount the intercoolers in place, and then we'll fab the intake piping, and then we will take the engine out, do all the internal upgrades, Wiseco pistons, K1 rods, and ARP studs.
Okay, so you're building something that's going to create some power. He's going to, compete in this thing, you know, that's pretty impressive. Okay, well, hey, we're out here at Schwartz Performance today. He's got stuff going on here. What are you guys doing? All right, hey, today, believe it or not, we are actually here with Top Fuel driver TJ Zizzo in the Peak Motor Oil shop. This is some new digs for you, buddy. Beautiful. I love it. How you doing today?
Awesome. Thanks very much. I will say it is awesome. Compared to my dad's crawl space, which was 750 square feet, moving in this 10,000 square foot facility with 2,000 square feet of office space we don't even use, is absolutely spectacular. This is the only problem. I'm freezing right now. We can't afford to heat the place, but we're getting there, one step at a time.
I looked, it's 17 degrees outside. It's January, and we're getting ready for the new season. What do you have on tap this year?
A lot of things. I will tell you this. It's really nice to say that we are able to go to all 12 events this year. Now, I say all because for us, that's a lot.
Yeah.
24 events is the ultimate goal, right? That's where we want to go. That's what we want to do. But to be able to go to 12 of the 24 events is more than we've ever done in Zizzo Racing history. So we're excited about that. We're going to go to some new places. Sonoma, Seattle.
Okay.
All these new places that we're going to be able to go that we've never raced at before, so we're jacked.
All right, I'm excited too. We'd love to be there with you, but you know what? I think we'd like to stop by and see you once a month just to see how things are going. But I digress. We're in the shop, and I see several cars here. Your dad's Willys is over here. You've got the Bombers car here. Tom Baum, who passed away a few years ago. How did you acquire that?
It's pretty neat. I mean, my dad and Tom Baum were really, really good friends. Tom Baum called me at least once a week at the shop, and for him to give me little tips, because Tom Baum was always one of those guys that never had any money whatsoever. None at all.
Budget racer.
Budget racer, but at the same time had a heart of gold.
Okay.
You know, he's the one who taught me early on when I was 16 to get out there and talk about the sport you love, enjoy the sport you're involved with in drag racing. He's the one who actually back in the day said, TJ, please do me this. When you come down the return road, stand out of the car and wave to the crowd.
Okay.
Those things are things that really mean something to the fan. And you see all these professionals out there now that I compete against, none of them, very few of them do that.
Right.
And to give credit to John Force Racing, every one of their drivers.
Right, he is an example.
He's
absolutely.
An example. So that's where the Tom Baum deal comes in. But my dad acquired that car because he had passed away, and my dad, in his heart, said, hey, I want to restore this car. I want to make this car as nice as I can, knowing that Tom Baum could have never made it that nice, you know, because of his budget restraints.
Right.
So my dad took my dad and some of Tom Baum's old team members, which are still friends with us, took a lot of time to get that car up and organized the way it is today, which is really neat.
And it looks beautiful. It's fantastic. That was a UDRA car, which your dad also ran in Top Alcohol, I think, and which you ran. Did you not run the UDRA?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The UDRA, I wish would rekindle itself.
Okay.
It really, there's a special place in my heart for that. For United Drag Racers Association, my dad won championships there. I won a championship there. Since then, it has digressed. But someday I want to rekindle that and make that a sanctioning body that could, you know, be out there again with the masses.
Well, let's talk about this year. You've got your entire crew here. Everybody's working on everything I can see. They're working on the truck. They're working on the trailer. I seen a guy in the engine room playing with some cylinder heads. How often does this happen?
Every Tuesday night.
Okay.
A majority of our team members here are every Tuesday night and every Sunday all day.
Okay.
That is their dedicated time to this.
Okay.
The reason we are as successful as we are is because of our team members.
Right.
Our core team members have been together for 8 years plus now. Some of them with us for 22 years.
Oh, wow.
So the reason that we are successful is because of them. So they need to show up here every Tuesday and every Sunday to keep continuity. Now, not everyone is here all the time. We understand that. It is an all-volunteer basis.
Okay.
So you can't force people to be at your shop. But they want to come here, they enjoy the atmosphere, they enjoy each other, and that's important.
That's great. That's great. Well, you know what we've kind of talked about preliminaries. Let's take a look at the state of the car right now.
Yep.
Come on. Okay, we have a shell, or what we'll call a frame, to start with. And what are you doing as far as maintenance? Are you checking the welds? Are you checking all the Heim joints? Are you just basically doing everything you do between rounds?
What we have done this off season, remember, this is the first time in an off season we are not freezing outside.
Okay.
You know, outside with this race car and this semi.
No wonder they're all here.
Right, exactly. And we have heat on us right now.
Yeah.
So our crew chief has taken it upon himself to move most of the management systems for the clutch management system to be moved to the forward of this race car in case of fire. So what we did in the off season, just to give you an idea, is basically completely stripped the car.
Okay.
Completely took it down to nothing. Inspected all the welds on this race car. Inspected all the systems on the race car. We went through each component as it sits here and got it ready to run. Now, at this point, everything is pretty well finished up here. We had an engine in here just to mock it up to see if all our new wiring stuff fit this race car. Now we're to the point of building all of our engines for the season.
Okay.
We can build up to 7 engines.
Okay.
We are going to build 5 for Pomona.
Okay.
So now that's happening in our engine room. But here, basically, our crew chief Mike Kern has spent hundreds of hours on this race car throughout the off season, making sure that it's right, along with the rest of our team members, going through every single computer system, all the ignition system, clutch systems. These cars are just filled with systems. I mean, people look at these cars and say, oh, it's pretty simple. You're going in a straight line,
Yeah.
No.
I can drive that.
Yeah. Drivability of it's easy. Getting this car mechanically sound is the difficult part. Every piece has to be perfect, so that's what they've done.
Okay. Mechanically sound is one thing, but also the safety features on it. Tell us about a Top Fuel dragster, and what are the safety features for getting you from point A to point B in a safe manner and stopping it?
It all starts with my right foot and my 2 hands.
Okay.
That's where it all starts on the safety standpoint.
Okay.
I know every time I get strapped in this race car, the gentleman and lady who works on this race car, they do a good job. I know I don't have to think about that. When I climb in this thing, I don't have to think about one thing on the safety side of this race car. Is it going to start? Is it going to explode? Is it going to be upside down because the wheel falls off? Whatever it may be. Key. That all revolves around people like we talked about before.
Right.
The safety side of it. This sport has progressed so rapidly. Now with the latest and greatest, I will call it not really an invention because it's been around a long time, was the canopy car.
Okay.
Tony Schumacher, Antron Brown, now Brittany Force are driving what they call canopy cars.
Okay.
We have not progressed to that stage yet, but that has really housed them in an area of this race car that will be completely sealed up from fire and all that stuff. We are not to that point yet. Remember, my dad wants to put me in the safest car possible.
Right.
I mean, that's key. Things that have progressed in this sport really are the titanium shields around the head area, carbon fiber tubs inside here, Kevlar, protection for my legs to not flop out of the race car in case of a crash. I mean, all these things. So really, the safety side from my side is all right here in this cockpit. But this car was also built in 1999. There's been a lot of advancements in that. Some people are building a 3rd rail car. So we call it, this is the 1st rail, this is the 2nd rail. Now they made a 3rd rail in here to protect and make this even a stronger environment. They've completely enclosed this all with the canopy. And that's just an evolution of our sport. People say, well, yeah, it's aerodynamically better and this and that. Sure, it's better. We get that. We understand that. But the key is to keep the driver as safe as possible. So we'll evolve to that eventually in time, I'm sure.
Right. And now we get to talk to Mike Kern. You're the crew chief. You've been working with the Zizzo Group for how long now?
This is my 10th year.
10th year. So, and to become crew chief, you pretty much know most of the operations and systems on the vehicle. Why don't you explain what we're looking at here?
This here is our fuel and clutch management system, which is tied in with a timer up here. This is TJ's practice
My
screen.
toy.
Okay.
Keeps him doing a good job. But we have a timer here that actually controls these air solenoids, which control these hydraulic solenoids, which allows our clutch to apply. So as the car goes down the track, we control the timing and the rate of speed of the apply of the clutch.
Okay.
And that tells you, based on track conditions and everything else, how fast you apply that is how fast the car gets down the track.
Okay.
That's the real basics of it. There's a lot of other little things that go into that, but that's the basis of it. Then here we have the control for the fuel system, which is a valve which allows the fuel to bypass at the start of the run, because you don't need all that fuel when the car leaves the line.
Okay.
As much as the fuel pump can put out, you can't have all that. So this actually bypasses a portion of that fuel at the start of the run, and then as the car goes on the track, we have 2 different air pressures that change a valve, which instead of the fuel being bypassed, sends the fuel to the engine.
Okay.
And again, as with the clutch, the amount of pressure controls the rate of speed and how fast all that happens. And that's all timing of things that we plan before the run in order to get the car down the track and as quick as we can.
And as little as less than 4 seconds.
And as little as less than 4 seconds.
He says we. Really, it's Mike that decides all that stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So with that, there's 6 stages of clutch that are actually going off between, say, 0.1 seconds and 2.2 seconds.
Okay.
So all that 6 stages of stuff is happening basically within 1.2 seconds. All that is happening, and how you time all that is where everything happens on the racetrack.
Okay, when you look at the data recorder afterwards, you're able to determine whether you're going to apply more clutch or relieve some of the clutch and the fuel with that. Is that correct?
Correct, yep,
okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
And that's what this is here. This is the data acquisition,
okay.
which we collect the simple things: engine RPM, exhaust temperatures, blower pressure. We look at pan pressure to see if we're burning a piston. We also look at the drive shaft speed, how fast that drive shaft is ramping up. That helps us again with our clutch application. You know, if it's too fast, we could slow that down by reducing some of the clutch application. Again, it tells us the RPM. If the engine revs up too high at the start, we maybe have a little bit too much horsepower. We need to control that. So yeah, all that data acquisition feeds back and tells us how we need to set up the car for the next run.
All right. Well, it's quite the. It's a long way from putting new jets in your Holly carb, isn't it?
It is, but it isn't. The basics of all of it are the same for any internal combustion engine.
Okay.
It's fuel and air and making it go. This is just to the extreme of everything is happening very fast.
Okay.
And in great volumes.
Okay.
So it's the basics just applied to the extreme degree. That's really all it is. And so anybody that out there that's wanting to learn this kind of stuff, go to school, learn your basics, because it all applies.
All applies. Okay, great. Let's walk on over to the engine room and see what you've got going on there.
Ryan, how's it going, sir? This is my buddy Ryan Ramos. Been on the team for a long, long time. How many years now, Mr. Ryan?
6 years.
6 years, absolutely. He builds all our racks and pistons and lower ends, and everyone gets to drip oil on them, right?
All right.
Oil and drop tools.
All right.
We won't talk about where you have tools dropped, will we?
No.
Okay.
They fall in bad places.
All right.
Probably why I don't have any kids now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right.
Very cool.
Cool.
We're gonna
Mind if we
slide
make through here?
Sure. This is one of our other good friends here, Matt, hiding in the corner. Went to college with him.
Hi, Matt.
We both graduated from Illinois State University
Oh,
together.
all right.
And he started out as a utility guy 2 years ago, essentially. And now progressed into doing superchargers and miscellaneous other items that need to be addressed, like aerodynamic features like this rear wing. Yeah.
All right. Very good. Thanks.
Chris, how are you, sir?
Good, buddy.
Good.
All right.
So now we'll progress into what we call an engine room, which this is no exaggeration. This here is as big as almost our entire shop used to be. Almost, just about. And now we just build cylinder heads and engines in this room, which is pretty fascinating. Right, Mike?
Sure.
These guys get to hear me talk all the time.
I know.
They're like, oh, geez, now we're gearing up for race season again.
All right.
Crankshafts just got back. They were balanced, MagnaFlux. Everything is good, so we'll put them in some engines. But it's amazing. We have progressed to the point where we have 7 engines that we could build here. To go to 12 events. We have 11, I believe, sets of cylinder heads now that are built, ready to go. So there's just a lot of items here, a lot.
Yeah, and now we're looking at these, and I see nothing but dollar signs. I mean, 8,000 horsepower. What kind of money does it take to produce 8,000 horsepower?
Can I exaggerate a little bit here?
Absolutely.
It's actually 10,000 horsepower.
Okay.
Let me exaggerate just a little bit. Let's get a nice even number in
All
there.
right. All right.
So when I line up in Charlotte this year with 4Y, there will be 40,000 horsepower thumping out there on the racetrack.
All right.
Pretty spectacular, I got to tell you. I got to tell you. Financially, I mean, this is very expensive. You are absolutely right. Remember, first of all, we got to back up and digress from that. We have no full-time employees here.
Okay.
Okay, so we don't have any employee salary to worry about. Sure, we have some rent now, but not too much. Everything here is pretty well paid for, and it still costs us on average of about $17,000 to $20,000 for every 4 seconds or less down the racetrack.
Okay, so the price has gone up.
Absolutely.
Last time I heard, I think it was $10,000 a pass, and now we're up to $17,000 to $24,000, depending on breakage, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's why we have an average. I mean,
Yeah.
that could be averaged out. People look at it different ways. Because I do all the budgets on this thing, I look at it as a per run event with us, due to the fact that I know approximately how many runs we're going to make this year. So I could break that down. We're going to 12 events. I expect to make at least six runs per event.
Okay.
That would be going to the second round. It's a goal.
Okay.
And then I will know what that will cost us because I've kept track of our spending for the past 10 years, every penny of it.
Right.
I know what it costs on average for tires. I know what it costs for average for fuel and breakage, as you would say.
Right.
Because there's a lot of breakage.
Breakage,
absolutely.
Yeah. Whenever
Absolutely.
you're putting these things on the edge, I'm sure that there's a possibility for something happening.
Always a possibility, sir. That's why we love this sport.
So you've got a cylinder head here. This is a dual plug cylinder head. Describe what goes into one of the valves. I mean, we're looking at something that not everybody gets to play with on a regular basis.
That is absolutely true, and they don't allow me to play with it very much either anymore. So basically what these are stage 5 cylinder heads. We talk about the evolution of the sport. I talked about the canopy evolution of this. Cylinder heads has evolved since these were state of the art.
Okay.
These are stage 5. Now they have stage 7s, bigger valves, better letter weight material, letter weight valve springs, all this stuff that they've done. We're not on that cutting edge quite yet.
Okay.
Because we've also been told that the stage 7 cylinder heads may not last as long as these do. So
Okay.
there's just a lot of things. But yeah, of course. I mean,
It's a hemispherical configuration as far as the head is
Absolutely.
concerned. Okay, dual plug, hemispherical configuration. It's,
a lot of work goes into these.
$10,000?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sure. If you were to say completely built with fuel rails, jets in there,
Right.
valve springs, valves. Sure, you would probably look at about $10,000 a set.
Okay, a set.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
All right.
And the thing is, we destroy those almost instantaneously.
Whenever you do
At the
have
hit
a
of the
problem.
gas.
When you do have a
Yeah,
problem, right?
Exactly.
Right.
But they get repaired. These are just got repaired. You see how nice and smooth the combustion chamber is in there.
Oh yeah, so it's been welded and polished.
yeah,
and,
well, you got it.
Made back to where it's a usable piece of equipment.
Hopefully, it's just as strong as it used to be.
Yeah.
Which usually they get weaker with every weld. But that is absolutely true.
Now this is one of your disassembled blocks.
In midst of assembly.
In midst
yeah.
of assembly.
That's
yeah.
exactly
it's,
right. Here,
it's
we can
all
slide this
aluminum.
around.
It's all billet.
Yep.
Very
true. Once again, something that the cylinder head that you guys just looked at would, of course, be bolted on here with pistons and rods in there. Everything is built, pretty much taken apart. Every 6 runs, we will completely disassemble, if we get to that point, completely disassemble the engine itself and go through it. Check.
All right, we're going to head to the clutch room and see what goes on in there.
That's where all the magic happens. That's where, and then you can meet Chris.
All right,
too.
and here's Chris. All right, yeah, don't be looking at this.
There we go. I'll step on the other side here so I can
Yeah.
introduce you guys to Chris. This is Chris. How many years have you been with us, Chris?
5.
It's
This
the
season.
It's the coldest in this room, isn't it?
That's why I'm running over.
Absolutely. Give them a little bit of indication of what you're trying to get accomplished here.
This is the pressure plate for the clutch, and each finger has different heights, so I'm trying to dial them all in. We have two pressure plates, 4 donuts.
Is that something you eat,
and they
Chris?
all have to match, yeah.
You get these at Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah.
You wish, right?
Yeah, right. Be a little less expensive there.
So yeah, the biggest thing is consistency and having everything dialed in right on the money.
All right.
How many hours do you think you put into a clutch assembly for every run?
Probably 15-ish.
15 hours in each one for every run. So you've got preloaded clutches that are coming with you that you change out.
Right.
Is that the way it works? I noticed that whenever you were pulling it out, you stuck a pole in between it or a piece of pipe and had to lift it out, and you had gloves on up to here.
With
It
oven
looks
mitts.
darn hot.
It is hot.
How hot do
A lot
these
of times
clutches
it's
get?
glowing.
Yeah.
Probably 800-900 degrees.
Oh, okay. So you don't want to get your bare skin on that for sure.
3 pairs of gloves and it's still warm.
And Chris, you're a ASE certified technician.
Yeah.
How did you get the job here at Zizzo Racing?
Well, they they own a body shop, and our Lexus dealership delivers parts to them. So I kept pounding on them, saying, hey, you know,
I want in,
spot.
I want in,
Yeah,
I want in.
Exactly,
Hey.
and it finally just happened. So
Any regrets?
Things happen for a reason.
Any regrets yet?
None whatsoever.
All right.
None.
It seems like you have a smile on your face when you're out there at the track, a whole lot
yeah,
more
I dig
than not that you don't love your job,
Right,
but
yeah. This is definitely more fun.
all right.
I think,
A
Dave,
lot of ups and downs. But
we all have a passion, and that's why we're here. I mean,
Right.
that's the reason we love doing this.
Right.
We come to the shop with a smile. You know, 90% of the time, 90% of us are happy. So
Right.
that's important, you know, being here and enjoying what we do. And that's why we get up in the morning, man. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Now we've seen the car, we've seen the shop and everything. You have to have sponsors to make this happen. And Peak Motor Oil has stepped up for you. Their name's all over everything you have. What's it take to get somebody like Peak Motor Oil to sponsor a guy like you? How much investment do you put into Peak Motor Oil?
Oh boy, I think if I could tattoo Peak on my forehead, I would absolutely do that for them. It's about exposure, it's about relationships, it's about building businesses. That's what really truly this is about. A lot of people think, you know, you put your name, their logo on the side of a race car. That's such the small portion of that. It is what I do for them off the racetrack. When I teach my courses at the local high school here,
Okay.
I talk about Peak products.
Okay.
Anytime I, of course, do a TV interview or a radio show, all those things go into that as well. It's also trying to line them business to business. The reason we have Peak on our race car 10 years later from our early relationships was with our very first marketing partner, which packages their windshield washer
Okay.
solvent for them locally.
Okay.
So that's where we got involved. It's all about who you know and putting and tying all these things together.
Okay.
Sure, without Peak, Zizzle Racing would not be here today.
Right.
Due to the fact that we do own a body shop. It's a small body shop. It's a 1,400 square foot body shop. That body shop cannot produce the volumes of money that this car deserves.
Right.
Period.
Right. Okay. And you know, anybody looking for a sponsorship out there, like you said, you've got to make connections. You've got to. We have that question all the time. Hey, get me a sponsor. Hey, do this. You know, you just did some charitable work with who recently?
Humane Society Draw.
Okay.
I mean, we do a lot of things. Draw is another one that we deal with extensively. Drag Racing Association of Women.
Okay.
There's Humane Society, which I just mentioned. Yeah, we're always trying to drum up you know, exposure for them.
Okay.
Because it works both ways. It goes
Right.
both ways. I mean,
Right.
you know, if you do your due diligence, it gives Peak exposure. It gives them exposure. It's all good for everyone.
Okay. Well, TJ, thank you very much. I want to talk to your dad just because he's the pilot of this spaceship.
I've
As far
always
as the
said.
control engineer of it, you're the driver. But I want to talk to your dad and see where we're at. Thank you very much for being on the show, and we wish you the best of luck this year.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, and hey, now I get to talk to the main man. This is Tony Zizzo. We're standing next to the original Top Alcohol car that TJ got his license in, that you pilot on a regular basis at some of the local events and stuff. Thanks for talking to us. Thanks for allowing us in your shop.
Thank you for coming today.
You know, I talked to TJ about, you know, all the processes and procedures of getting the race team to the track. But you're kind of the guy that makes it all happen. I attribute you to being the chief engineer of this spaceship. And how do you keep it together?
I try pretty hard to keep it together. The biggest problem I have here is we're, like TJ probably told you, we're all volunteers. And
Right.
It's keeping track of who's doing what job at what time and when it's going to be accomplished, when it's going to be started. You know, we have to keep track of that. So it's a full-time job for me just to keep the guys on their job. And then whatever they do not finish during the weekend that they're working, I finish during the week.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm not only the guy with the checkbook, I'm also the guy that's hands-on, got to get everything finished.
You're the task manager, TJ said. They task
Yeah.
you to do something, and for some way, somehow, you get it all done.
And I keep telling the guys, stop leaving me with all these projects. You're leaving me all these projects all week long. I just can't get them all done in time. So, but yeah, I'm the guy that not only, like it says, only has a checkbook, but I also have to get all the tasks finished for all the guys before they get back here.
Well, as you know, we're big fans. We're behind Peak Motor Oil all the way, and the TJ Zizzo Racing Team, and we're happy that you allowed us to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming, and it's always a pleasure watching your videos. I watch them over and over again at home.
Oh, thanks. Hey, we've got somebody watching our videos. We love that. And you know what? Here at the Zizzo Racing Shop, it's not all about business. This looks pretty fun. What the heck are we looking at here, Tony?
I took all my years of experience with drag racing and those hot rod drag racing motors, and I applied it to my everyday street rod. So we've got 2,000 horsepower street rod here that I love and enjoy driving on the street.
And what kind of body are we talking about? What is
It's basically started out as a 1941 Willys fiberglass car. We built the car from the ground up, chassis, body, and engine, of course. So it resembles a 41 Willys, but it's really a unique, one-of-a-kind, one-off.
One-off blown street rod in flat black with an blown alcohol-injected motor that has 2,000 horsepower. And what do you do with this?
And the flat black, it's very popular now.
Yeah, it's
I started
amazing.
this. I started this, and everybody's copied it over the years. And it's become very popular, the flat black look on the street rods.
So whether you're looking at Peak Motor Oil and TJ Zizzo at the track, or you happen to see this bad dog on the street, make sure you follow Zizzo Racing. They're out there.
Thank you.
Thank you again to Jeff Schwartz of Schwartz Performance and TJ Zizzo. Be sure to stop by the ARS Promotions fan page and click like to keep up with everything going on with ARS Promotions and ARS TV.